Good evening, everyone. Am I audible to all of you? Can you please type in the chat window or a question window there? I'm also adding a question there. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Imran, for the confirmation. We'll wait for a few more minutes for others to join. I'm getting a thumbs up from Omkar. Thank you, Omkar. Are you able to see me as well? Okay, I think you're able to see me. Thank you, Abhiram, Bibi. Yeah. Thank you, Matthew, Shajan. We'll wait for maybe a few minutes and then we'll start. And when we are waiting, can you please type in the place that you are joining this webinar from? Which place you are joining from? We are hosting this call from Bangalore, where our office is located. I'm sure many of you from outside Bangalore. Yeah, let me see. I'm seeing somebody from Vizag, Chennai. Okay, we'll see. You can type your place. Okay, I can see Abhiram from Hyderabad. That's nice. From again Bharat from Kurnool. That's nice. Let us see some other students joining today. Typically, we give few minutes for the students to join. It's right away at 7 p.m. They may take some more time to join in. Abhishek from Bangalore. That's nice. Imran is asking, how are you, sir? I am good, Imran. Thank you. Thanks for your gesture. So I guess you all will be 2026 pass outs. Can just confirm once. That's what we understand. Which year you are going to pass out? Yeah, okay. Mahidar is telling yes, sir. Okay. Then we have Lohit from Dharwad, and yeah, Imran, Abhiram, they're all telling 2026. That's good. Satish also telling the same. This webinar is aimed for the 2026. Maybe another couple of minutes, we'll start. I see some more have joined. We're discussing about which place you are joining and which your era pass out. Maybe you can just share. Okay, we have Bibi Sabia Aga from Bhatkal, Karnataka. That's, are you from Anjuman College by any chance? Okay, yeah, you are from Anjuman. That's nice. So then we have Apurva from Bijapur. Okay, thanks Apurva for joining. Let me share. I think we can just get going. Let me just share my screen. Is my screen visible to all of you? Can you just confirm once? We'll get going. Okay, all right. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, great. I think we'll get started. Let me put in the slideshow. Very good evening to all of you. A warm welcome to this webinar on Start Early and Stay Ahead, Unlock Your Career in the Core Industry. So today we are hosting this webinar mainly focusing on the 2026 pass outs. In fact, we would be happy that even your subsequent juniors also would have participated in this particular webinar. So my name is Jai Kumar. I'll be your host for today, and we also have Mr. Mas, who is our MD, who is sitting next to me. I'll just turn the camera in a few minutes, so he will basically share some perspectives in the beginning, and then subsequently we'll move forward with the webinar. Okay. So what is the agenda for today? We will first of all introduce about Emertxe, who we are and what we do. Some of you might know about us, and some of you would have heard about us. We will talk a bit about that. Then we will talk about the job market key trends, because as we see in the last year or so, we are seeing a lot of transformative changes in the world, which is affecting the job market. We'll talk about the key trends in the job market. So we'll also understand what it means to you as an engineering student who is in their final year or pre-final year, what it means to you, how you should basically interpret these changes, and why start early matters. If you see the diagram in the right side, also time to start now, right? Because gone are the days where you can do certain things towards the fag end of the your course, right? Or you can say what you call placement preparation training in your college, right? So those things are not going to work anymore. That's going to be the center of the agenda of this particular webinar, and we will dwell into why starting early matters a lot. Okay? And we are going to talk about a specific industry. Okay? Basically, we are going to talk about core electronics or an embedded system industry, primarily talking about the semiconductor and devices type of companies, and what is your pathway or how you can plan as a final year graduate or a pre-final year graduate to pave your career in this particular domain. We'll talk about that. And definitely we'll take a Q&A, and please note, you don't need to wait for your Q&A. We can actually pause at certain intervals and take some questions, so we don't need to wait. I'll take certain breaks in the session in the meantime, so you guys can keep on typing. As you can see, you cannot talk, this is a webinar, So you can key in your questions as and when you have. I'll take certain logical breaks and then clarify your queries. Okay. So with that note, let us get started with our webinar. I want to introduce about our organization Emertxe. We have been in this education segment for more than 20 years. The 22 plus years we've been in this industry. At a high level, as an organization, we are aspiring to solve two problems. One is employability and upskilling. Employability, as you all know, today India is a country of engineers, where we have 1.5 million engineers are coming out of engineering colleges every year, and then very few of them are having the employable skills, right? So our idea is to basically make them employable by delivering hands-on training programs. These programs are relatively long-term in nature. These are 6 months training programs, very immersive in nature, bringing in a hands-on perspective. You can see the hand making a pot, right? So that's the approach we take, learning by doing approach. Suppose you want to make a pot, right? You cannot read from a book or watch a YouTube video, right? You need to only do that by making your hands dirty. So that's the approach that we take, where we basically make the immersive learning experience for our students in the domains of embedded systems, IoT, and full stack web development. And we make them employable. We are partnered with more than 1,500 companies. I'll just run through a few logos as a part of this presentation. Of course, you can check out our social media and our website. I'll also share our links, in towards the end. You can check it out, right? Along with that, we also work with the corporate organizations in two angles. One is the working professionals who wanted to make a transition into this semiconductor and electronics industry. So they come and take up our courses and then make a transition into this industry. And similarly, we also train organizations, what you call it as a corporate training, by delivering upskilling programs for their employees. Because today, skill development or having the right skilled human resource is the most important asset for any of these companies. So we also train them. Those are more of a custom trained programs, starting from a fresher level all the way up to 10 plus years of experience engineers. We train them so that organizations gain competitiveness in the market. So that's what largely we do. Okay. So coming to our leadership team, Mr. Maas is our managing director, and I'm one of the directors in the organization. And we also have Mr. Mubin, who is our technology head and CTO. As I said in the beginning, Mr. Maas is present in this webinar. I would basically unshare the presentation for a few some time until he is there in the session. Then we can again come back. So he would like to share his perspectives. So let me just unshare my screen for some time, and then I will hand it over to Mr. Maas. Yeah, Maas, you want to?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Jay Kumar, for setting the tone. So my name is Maas. I represent Emertxe Information Technologies, and as Jay Kumar said, I lead the organization. Okay, and we are an organization doing this job in upskilling, building careers since 23 years now. It's been 2003, right? We started. It's been 22 plus years, right? So thank you very much, guys, for being present here. Okay. The topic of today's discussion, or sharing our perspective is starting early your career and why it is important. Okay. If it is it very important, or is it required to have a early preparation to start a career, or or is it something it's just a perk, to do that, right? So what we will do here is basically we will share our perspectives. Okay, me with about 25 years of experience and my colleague with about 20 plus years of experience. Okay, we will share the perspective that we have over the past 22 years in this domain of basically skill building and career related, all these years. All right, it's not that you may not be aware of many of the things, but okay, you are a smart generation. Okay, much smarter than us, and that is how generally the generations evolve, right? That is how the world progresses, right? Okay, the smarter generation, right? The next generation is going to be much smarter, and that is how the progress happens. But what happens is the earlier generation and the people like us basically share our perspective, experience that we have built over a period of time, right? So that you can actually take decisions, take the right judgment, and take it from there. And apart from sharing our perspective, okay, we would like to give the first-hand information about the input from the industry trend, right? What the industry says today, right? The first-hand input from the industry side, okay. And we can share this because This is what we do on a daily basis. We interact with the industry on a daily basis. Almost every day, we talk with about 10 companies asking requirements from from us, and sharing the requirements to us. Okay, this is what we want. This is our requirement. This is what we do, and this we have been doing from say 22 years, and we have seen the whole the timeline from then, how it was then and how it was now, and we would like to share that now. All right, this is just as the perspective that we would like to share. Specific Jaykumar will share to you guys, right? So before that, whether you want to get into why is it really important to start an career early, I would like to put a question here, and give you an in front of you. You would like to understand, you should understand how the corporations work. Okay, why? Okay, so I'm just putting a question here. Why do corporations hire people in their team? Simple question. Why do they hire? What is the reason they hire? They hire because, and irrespective, I'm not talking about anything specific to embedded systems, IoT, mechanical, civil, computer science, okay, AI, nothing. Why do they hire? They hire because these candidates, the people can solve their specific problems, right? There are certain problems, challenges that they are facing, and the problems can be in terms of technical problems, and the problems can be in terms of people problem. So if we are able to solve this problem and the requirement that is there, okay, they hire, right? Okay, if you can solve that problem, they can hire you. It's as simple as that, right? So in hiring, how the hiring happens now, basically, it can happen for lateral positions, it can happen for fresher positions, right? If it's a lateral position, how does it work? If it's an experienced position, somewhere say 3 years experience, 5 years experience, right? Okay, 8 years experience people, what do they hire? It's simple. What does the JD say? What does the job description say? Right? But it says do you know this? Do you know this? Right? Yeah, I can say yes, I know this. I know 50% of this, 80% of this, right? Something I will know. Okay, but see, if I know a significant part of it, if I'm an experienced candidate, if I know a significant part of it, the job is done. Nobody will know 100%. Nobody will fit into any kind of a role 100%. Fairly 70, 80%. If somebody fits in, the job is done, right? This is how it works. It's simple. Now, how do they hire freshers? Okay, similarly, how do they hire freshers? It's a little tricky. Okay, to answer how do they hire freshers, let me take you to the past, the 22 years of how this story is, how basically they were hiring way back in 2003 and before that, and how they are hiring now. If you have this view, then you can actually take an informed decision, and then you can actually have a plan for yourself. I don't have to tell anything. Jaykumar doesn't have to tell anything. Anybody doesn't have to tell anything. With this perspective, you can actually take calls on your own. All right. So let me take you to the past. How was it working then, and how is it working now? All right. So when did the the IT advent of IT happened in India? Early 90s, right? So when the early 90s, when basically the companies started coming in India, okay, they needed people to work. Okay, it may be a little vast history, little story, but hold on for 5 minutes. Okay, this is important for you to get a perspective, right? So when the companies came earlier in 90s, basically the demand was high. All right, there were only limited engineering colleges, only government engineering colleges and NITs were there during them. The demand was too high. So how did they hire? Okay, they hired irrespective of whether we came from engineering background, non-engineering background, diploma background, anything. They used to hire you. They used to actually hire educated people, okay, from public sector, the Bells, Bharat Electronics, DRDOs. They used to hire people from there. They used to train, and then basically that's how the hiring used to happen, right? They used to prepare people from anywhere and anywhere and everywhere. What happened late, in the 90s, late 90s, when the IT boom happened, they needed more people. That is where a lot of engineering colleges started booming. Okay, then from there, that was not enough for them. A lot of engineering colleges started booming, right? Okay, and then people started taking students from engineering colleges, right? Tier 1 engineering colleges, right? Okay, and left and right. Okay, they used, okay, irrespective of whatever branches you came from, right? Okay, they used to hire engineers. You must have seen a lot of recruitment happening during that time. And why was this actually so much of recruitment happening? If you must have seen the era of basically hundreds and thousands of people getting hired from campuses, the Infosys, the Wipros, and the TCS and the Cognizants, right? Now, why was this happening? The demand was so high and the supply was actually less. So they used to go and actually hire people in advance, right? Okay. And that's how this was happening, right? Now, after the late 90s, when the boom of engineering colleges started, okay, the company started preferring people from tier 1 engineering colleges. As time progressed, okay, the demand in tech and the MNCs started building the global capability centers. Like for example, the Intels, the Ciscos, the HP started establishing the companies here, right? And they started outsourcing to companies like Wipros, and the TCSs, right, Infosys. And then what happened was basically during this time, if we fast track to 2000, right from 90s, if we fast track to 2000, right, okay, you must have seen till late 2020s, okay, you must have seen thousands of people getting placed in these service companies, right? Any college, you must have heard that, right? And probably that is the reason, heavy outsourcing, okay, from all these product companies from MNCs abroad coming to India. And thousands of people getting hired in campus, off campus, you must have seen this, right? And probably that is the reason you actually chose engineering as an option, because jobs are available there, right? Now reach 2021 22 during the COVID time, right? Things started little slow, right? Started slowing, right? Companies started becoming cautious. I think that is the first time companies started becoming cautious, right? You must have seen conditional offers, people get offer letters, basically not without dates, like joining dates, right? All these things started coming. Companies become started becoming cautious, and the recruitment basically reduced, right? Since 2022, have you observed that there are no companies who are doing mass recruitment? Nobody. Have you seen any company doing hundreds of recruitment? Right? My opinion is basically no. I think I have not seen it. And in my opinion, this time is not going to come back. You will not see that mass recruitment happening. Okay, this is my opinion, right? If I am proven wrong, I will be glad. It's all good for us. It's a good news. If those times come back, but we need to be practical. This is not going to come back for all practical reasons, right? And now let me come back to answer your question. Let me stop here and answer the question I presented. How do they hire the freshers now? Okay. Earlier, how did they used to hire the fresher? Earlier, they used to hire the fresher based on when they used to go this mass, in thousands of people. How were they getting selected? A decent engineering degree, a cutoff in their marks, maybe 60, 65, 70s. Other companies will have aptitude, basic aptitude, and basic foundation. That's all that was required, right? That is how the service companies were hiring. And the companies that were coming to us, the product-based companies, usually they were not going to colleges. They were not going to colleges, right? Because they don't get specific skills. You need specialized skills, right? When they used to come to us, when this mass hiring are happening, if the students by till 2022, right? Okay, right, starting from 2003 we started, right? Okay, if our students know even 50% of what was taught in the course, they used to get hired easily left and right. That is what the required demand was. So much there in the industry, they used to they onboard them and they used to hire, right? Now what is happening at today? So today what the companies look for is, now one more thing, with the advent of AI now, okay, it has become more cautious. People are able to do 10 people job, one person is able to do 10 person's job. Something that can actually be done in 2 weeks with the help of the AI tools that has come. We have seen practically ourselves, we have observed it, you can do it in 1 day, 2 days. This is a fact, right? So today, bottom line, what is happening is basically like you don't see recruitment in mass, and what is influenced, right? So how are they going to recruit now today? Okay, the recruitment today happens only based on when the demand is less. The recruitment happens based only on skill. They just want to see whether they can actually solve. You can solve their problems, right? And if you have the capability and the skill to solve their problem, and this is the only way the companies are looking for. Your degree doesn't matter. I mean, basic engineering degree, okay, but other than that, like basically, okay, your marks doesn't matter, your other certifications doesn't matter. Can you solve my problem when I actually recruit you? This is all. See, the skill. They have become highly skill oriented, and that is what actually the company needs. Okay, they focus on practical, hands-on value a candidate can bring on the table. All right, hands-on skill. Okay, and unlike early years where the main criteria, as I told you, was like academic marks and basic aptitude, of course, not that they don't matter. Now it is very much required. Okay, without basic understanding of that, basically like the good aptitude that you hold, like and then basically the the foundations that you require, that is required, and decent marks is required. Not that it is not required, but not without the understanding of proper technology and your expertise in that particular domain, irrespective of whatever the domain is, coding, right? Okay, anything else, right? Mechanical, civil, electrical, electronics, doesn't matter. You need to be good in that domain, and that is what they see, right? And the expectations of the company that we are seeing today, like in the past 2 years, guys, from a fresher, they have an expectation of, as I told you earlier, half of the course contents, if they would have actually consumed, it was okay. Today, the expectation from a fresher is something like 1 to 2 years of experience. Now, how can a fresher have like 1 to 2 years of experience? Like it's crazy, right? But why are they doing that? It is because in turn they have a demand from their customer to actually deliver value in a cost efficient and timely manner. If they had a good times, right? They did that. They hired a lot of people, but now the demand is high. They have to be fast. They have to be productive. They have to be cost efficient. From a fresher, also the expectation has gone high, right? And this shift is driven by heavy competition, where companies must deliver, right, in a cost effective manner, like, and a time bound manner. Okay, so the companies require a high performance team, right? That's what they need. They need a high performance team, right? Okay, and if you want to be a part of such team, we don't have any option but to actually ramp up accordingly to what the skills, what they demand. Right now, how do you do that? Right, how do you achieve this? Is there a magical shortcut to actually achieve, like well, see, what the companies require, it is constant. We can't change that. I can't change that. You can't change that. But how do you achieve this? Is there a magical shortcut, like okay, that I ramp up to their expectation just like that in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, just like that, 5 months? Logical answer is no, it's not possible, right? Why? Because building skills takes time. You know that, right? It takes time. It is building skills, right? And demonstrating these hands-on skills takes time even more, right? And how much time that is it required? It depends on you. It depends on, like your current background and your capability. It depends. Like if somebody requires 1 year to do it, somebody may require 18 months. Like it all depends on the person, right? Right. If somebody requires 6 months, somebody can do it in 1 year. It all depends. Okay, that's an assessment. We have to do a self-assessment for that, right? Okay. So what's the message from me to you today to close, right? My message is very simple, guys. In order to actually, so that you don't fail towards the end, right? So that you are secure, whether you want to do a job or whether you want to do something on your own. Okay. My message to you is set a target and mandate for yourself, right? About acquiring those skills as per what is required in industries today. You set a mandate for yourself, set a target for yourself, right? And whether it is embedded systems, IoT, AI, ML, okay, anything, okay. When you set an early mandate for yourself, when you actually want to acquire those skills, like when you start acquiring the skills early, there is no pressure on you. your whole focus is basically on the learning, not on getting a job, or not on, like, you're not desperate. Okay, actually the pressure is already there on you, but you are not actually realizing. Okay, do you agree with me that there is already a pressure, but you're not realizing, because there is actually a painkiller that is there, like, said to us, because there is a protection layer of our parents. They are not letting us know that basically there is a pressure there. The pressure is always there. The only thing is, like, there is a painkiller that they are giving in terms of, like, comfort zone, right? But then better late than never, right? Okay, you need to start early, right? Okay, start early, start working on building your portfolio, start building your projects, right? Practice. And then the key is basically, you have to build a very strong portfolio by the end of your engineering, maybe at the max, like, by the end of engineering you need. Okay, maybe at the max, like, 3-4 months, 5-6 months max, right? Because you are in, like, final year, I am saying this. Frankly speaking, I would say you should start from first year. The foundation of programming languages, data structures, algorithm, you should have started earlier. From second year, you should actually do multiple domain specific things. Do actually one or two projects every semester. Build your skills. Okay, do something exceptional in your third year, and fourth year you do something, like, you decide build, like, okay, and then become like inch wide, like, mile deep, that kind of an expertise that you should build, right? So every semester you should have, that is what would have been real advice. But even though you are in a final year, like, it doesn't matter, it's not late, right? Okay, you should have a portfolio of about, say, about 15 projects, and that is what our students here also do it. Okay, it is required, because at the end of the day, what the companies look for is one common denominator, that is domain specific skills, apart from two more things. Anybody wants three things in a combination: your domain specific skills, your behavioral skills, and third, people skills, right? So at the end of the day, like, when you are setting a mandate for yourself, so you must actually keep some kind of, like, idea, like, since we are in embedded systems, like, IoT, all these kind of domains, like, you should think, like, by the end of whatever, like, I learn, I should keep a mandate that I should be able to build applications on non-OS based systems, microcontrollers, bare metal programming. Okay, I should be able to interface products using communication protocols, like, okay, for various domains and applications. I should be able to develop OS based application, Linux based applications. Okay, I should be able to understand embedded Linux and integrate RTOS on that. Okay, I should be able to do porting, like, porting the OS, and build complete applications across, like, some domains like automotive, embedded, healthcare, robotics, whatever it is, like. Okay, and these advanced capabilities, okay, along with your foundational skills, right, with, like, say, programming language and data structures, is what is required, like, to build these kind of, like, domain specific advanced skills. Once you acquire these skills and you build a portfolio, nothing stops you. You will gain the confidence. It is just a matter of time for me to get an opportunity, and I need to prove the company, right, the interviewer, that I can solve your problem, right? And whenever an opportunity, like, awaits you, you demonstrate your skills there, right? And that is what is required. So our message is basically, skill building takes time. You can't manufacture skills. Okay, like, AI does work faster, we cannot actually manufacture skills, like, that is for a robot to do, right? Okay, it's a for a, like, machine to, like, to do that. But human being takes time, right? Okay, whether you have certifications, like, you have done a lot of internships, okay, you have marks, right? Everything is, like, secondary, unless and until you have the hands-on skills. Okay, whether you, like, you can solve the company's problem, right? Without these hands-on capabilities, okay, everything else is just a piece of paper, right? And that is why building skills is essential. Than It matters more now than anything else, right? And the only way to build the skills as per what is required in the industry's demand today is to start early, right? Irrespective, whatever field, you need to start early. And the demand is not high only in this domain. Every domain, the demand is high. Whether you are going to a non-engineering domain, also the demand is high. In fact, there the demand is much, like, I mean, the demand from the expectations are much higher, right? So start early so that you don't get into a pressure, like, at a later stage, you don't get into any kind of an undue duress, right? So that you are in a comfortable position, like, okay, when you complete your engineering. When you complete your engineering, trust me, guys, people are in a phase of desperation, and that's not okay. Okay, during desperation, basically, like, you're not efficient. Okay, today you are still not in that kind of a phase. It is very important that you recognize and realize starting early is the only way to build your exceptional capabilities, and that is what my high level message and the perspective is. Okay, in 2022 2023, like, we used to get 120 130 companies per month. Okay, which we were at our peak. Today it's like, even though the situation is bad, we are actually capping at somewhere between 60 65 companies per month. You see, this is what, okay, and we are actually leading there in that domain. But overall industry, it's like, per month 60 65 companies, right? So only way to actually fulfill that, we want to actually fulfill all the requirements from all these companies, is basically ensure that basically you guys are like, up to the mark as per what the industry requires, right? And what is, this is what we do, and this is what, like, we would like to actually send the message to you, right? Any questions to you guys? I want to end here and actually give the stage to Jaykumar, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to share.
Maybe some questions have come. Let me just check any specific questions we can take. Yeah, so we could see, okay, will be better VLSI and Embedded. I think we will, start the particular discussion shortly. Okay, all right.
Apart from that, there is a question asking whether our institute is better or some other institute is better. We are not here to actually vouch what we are, okay, whether somebody else is better, like, or like, we are better than anybody else. Okay, the thing is, I can present what we are. We are a company of 120 130 people company. We have 65 plus mentors full time with us, okay, and they are there to support you, right? As I told you, almost every company in this domain hire from us, right? Okay, we have the right set of people to actually get you what the industry requires, right? So this is what we do. Okay, everybody has got their own positioning, right? Okay, and we are not here to actually put somebody down or up. We ensure that basically, like, if somebody is, like, anybody is there, we sets the right direction. Okay, and we have a responsibility towards the company to actually fulfill, to give the right set of resources, and that's what we've been doing from the past 23 years. I hope that answered that, right?
All right, yeah, thanks guys, thanks for asking questions. I think there's a Abhishek, and then, yeah, so we will come back to this. We will further discuss more questions. Let me just continue. Thank you, Mas. Thank you for setting the context. I think he kind of put the entire gamut in a nutshell and shared the his perspective in a very crisp manner. So what we are going to do, or my job is for the rest of the webinar, is to break whatever he has told. Right? He has told, I guess, multiple points is integrated and summarized. What my job is going to basically break that into little bit of pieces, right? We said, like, for example, Mr. Ma said that, okay, you climb the mountain, which is like, 100 feet or 200 feet high, whatever, right? So we are going to say, how are you going to take the specific steps? How do we get there, right? So that's what we are going to talk about. Okay, definitely we'll take more questions. Please come in. Thank you very much. Imran, I could see Mahidar, Prachi. I could see all your questions. Give me some time. We'll come back. Let us get going with some more, slides now. Okay, let me run through some slides. Share my screen. All right, so hope it is visible. Yeah. So as Mas mentioned, I can see, right, these are all our companies who recruit our students. This includes the multinational companies. Our GCC is what is now called as. We'll just touch base upon that. Mid-sized companies, startups, engineering service companies, etc. So the logo is quite vast. You can subsequently check our website, our social media to get to know about that, right? Okay. Let us slowly get on to the crux of the what he spoke. A little bit of a detailed manner, right? So what's exactly happening in the job market, right? As we all get up every day, okay, as you mentioned, last 2 years at least minimum, right? You hear every day something is happening. Okay, for example, some company has laid off so many people. As you said, campus recruitment have reduced, right? Or even somebody who got the campus offers, but their offer was not honored by giving a joining date, right? And then some policies getting changed, or some political leaders are getting into some type of agenda and things like that, right? So according to us, as Mas has already told about some of them, but let me just break it. That's my goal here. So what is happening here, right? Point number one, wherever we go, we are hearing this AI, right? AI, it's enabling everywhere, right? So what it is, definitely it is bringing in transformative changes. If you look at, right, certain changes which happen sequentially, but certain things which we call tectonic changes are transformative changes, which changes the entire way we do things, right? The way we write the code, the way we write a document, the way we generate images, right? The way we generate a speech, right? Everything changes very fast, right? It's made more efficient and much more, easier for people, right? So what is happening? AI, it is actually taking away jobs, definitely, but according to us, it is taking away a lot of lower end jobs. We'll talk about it shortly, right? That is definitely one trend wherever we go. Any newspaper, I don't know, you guys will read newspaper, right? For example, whether you open a WhatsApp or Instagram, right? Any other news media, right? This is one definite trend, right? Second thing is geopolitics, as I said, right? The kind of political leaders, what conversation they're having with other countries, right? I don't want to take any political leader name here, but definitely, it is affecting how the businesses are done between the countries, how the trade is done globally, right? Definitely, there is a lot of change that is happening. Third one is what you call GCC. You might have heard this particular terminology, or if you ask a technical person, he may say, GNUC compiler or GCC. That's not a GCC we are talking about. It's called Global Capacity Centers in India, right? So if you remember, as Mr. Mas was telling, 2000s is where this MNC revolution started. When I say MNCs, all the semiconductor and device companies. When I say semiconductor companies which are manufacturing the chipsets, be it Intel, be it ARM, or be it Microchip, be it NXP, any other companies, right? They started opening up their India, what you call an offshore R&D center or things like that, right? Okay. Now, what is the idea? Those MNC companies now called GCC because the expectation from these Indian companies has gone up significantly. We'll talk about the very simple example of shirt making. I was just yesterday night thinking, how do we put across this message to you guys? Right? We'll take a simple analogy and then we'll try to break it. Right? Fourth one, you'll also see a lot of positive news coming from the Indian domestic needs. For example, you talk about the EVs that are hitting the market every day, right? Like, for example, the two-wheelers, right? How probably the Aethers and the and the Olas of the world are changing the way how the electric two-wheelers are built. Not only that, you also see how the four-wheelers are changing the way how things are built. For example, you talk about Mahindra, right? The Mahindra B6, right? The Batman edition. I heard that they released 999 cars, which got sold off in a matter of 140 seconds. I don't know whether you saw the news, right? 2.5 minutes, the order got booked for the 999 cars. That's a kind. So you see that when you put all these four pieces together, right? As a fresh engineer, it's very likely that you all will get confused. When one side I'm seeing a good news, one side I'm seeing the bad news, and I'm seeing that like many other revolutions have happened in India, like the IT story that Mr. Mas has touched upon. We're also telling that the revolution or the change is happening in the semiconductor world, right? What is exactly happening? So it's very likely that you all will get confused, or sometimes you get overwhelming. In fact, yesterday I was in conversation with a very senior gentleman who is associated with for quite some time, right? He's a very senior guy. I call him sir, right? He goes through all the media every day. Then yesterday night he messaged me saying that Jagmar, look, I'm very demotivated. I don't know. This is changing. Every day things are changing. I don't know where. He's running an organization on his own, right? He's CEO of an organization. He said, I don't know where my organization. How do I steer forward, right? I requested him only a simple thing to him, with all due respect. I said, sir, please do one thing, right? Please stop watching those news. Okay? Because everywhere sensationalization is happening. Everywhere, one new versions are getting introduced, right? If we bother about all those things, right? Definitely we are not going to make anything on our own, right? What we can do on a daily basis, what are the parameters that is there and in our control is what we should be looking at. That's what Mr. Mas touched upon, what you can do from our perspective, right? Let's run a few slides and then we'll come to you. That's the main focus of this webinar, right? All right. So let us talk about an analogy. Okay. People know or attended some of our webinars, right? I like this way of putting it in a very simple manner so that we can all relate to it, right? Let us say you want to make a shirt. Okay, definitely making a shirt involves lot of activities to come together. Okay. For example, you need to first of all cut the fabric, based on, suppose I'm wearing this shirt, right? Somebody has to cut this shirt, then you need to stitch it. Again, stitching also, there is various ways in which you can stitch it, right? Probably you call stitching inside here is one type of stitch, probably we call hemming, right, etc., etc. They need to put the buttons, right? Okay, what you call finishing touches. They need to do a pressing. Okay. They need to package it in a cover or a box or something like that. And not only that, basically you need to ship it to the customer and support to the customer. For example, when you send a shirt to the showroom or even online shopping these days, right? When the customer buys, right, basically you may find some faults. So he will return back the item, right? Basically you need to support them, help them to, sometimes then some of the products will come with a warranty and things like that, right? So this is a typical activity that we are doing, okay, to make a shirt. If you look at the technology revolution that has happened in the past 20-25 years, right? If you look at the technology companies in here, right, they were doing any one or some of these activities as a part of their responsibility. For example, if you take, for example, the outsourcing which we started in the early 90s, as Mr. Mas mentioned, be it Infosys, Wipro, right? Let us understand this word outsourcing. So what is outsourcing? A company in the US or company in Europe who are building an entire product, but they have this small piece which they wanted to get it done with a cheaper cost. They used to give it to a country like India. Right? So that was the game that we started as outsourcing. Then what they started building one pieces of it. Maybe they started thinking, okay, I'll do the entire stitching in the shirts contest, or I'll do entire packaging. That is how the revolution has been. Right? Now, what is the scenario today? Whatever is explained, if you see, right? Now, today these GCCs are, let us say, even these Indian, companies, domestic R&D companies like Ether or any of these organizations, right? They need to build the entire shirt. Kindly note, it is a totally a different ball game when you go and say, right, earlier days that was a scenario where, okay, I want to know only do stitching. So what used to happen, 2 or 3 months you learn this particular school, then you are on, and there's a huge demand, right? So that is where their jobs were coming up. Now all of a sudden the mandate has shifted. See that no, I don't want to do any of these things, give me the entire shirt, right? I just wanted to pick up, right? This analogy, if you keep, right, it will be very easy for you to understand and subsequent points that we are going to share, right? Now, if you look at this particular change, mapping with the job market, okay, what we are talking about, right? If you look at those companies, right, who did a mass scale hiring, they used to go to a college, as he rightly called out, right? They used hiring, few hundreds and thousands. We even see Limca book of records where in a particular campus they went, they hired probably 1,500 students, right? And the entry barrier is less. Okay, pretty much, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of placement training, aptitude would do. And the branch factor was not at all mattering. For example, a civil engineer also will get into the same company, or an electronics engineer also will get into the same company. And once they recruit these companies, what they had this factory model of skilling. They have a huge training centers where they go and deploy you and then make you, for example, okay, you learn stitching, you learn particular, pressing, you learn packaging. Okay, it used to happen in a matter of 2 to 3 months, and they're only playing the cost game. Instead of doing one engineer in the US, you can hire n engineers in India and get the same thing done at a cheaper cost. So the cost was the game, right? Okay. Now, after the last 2 to 3 years, how it is scaling? When you say you need to basically create an entire shirt, it is going to change the skill landscape very much differently. For example, skill-based specific hiring is what today, rather than mass scale hiring, right? The entry barrier has gone up. Gone are the days, right, where you can just like that get in, right? And these companies are really building innovative products. Okay, we came across some of the examples, right? Okay, and then even if you look at what is happening in the sectors like defense, right? The way how the technology is playing in building the next generation, war equipments, navigation, and even tracking, etc. It is going through a lot of innovation. And here, cost doesn't matter. The complete product and whether that particular product is solving a problem and adding value to the end customer. Okay, so kindly note the left side one and the right side one are doing one of the activities in the stitching a shirt or building an entire shirt. The ball game is very different. Okay, and mapping to the first slide which I mentioned, right, where there are 4 trends. We spoke about AI, we spoke about basically geopolitics, we spoke about the what do you call the GCCs and the domestic needs, right? There are 4 factors which you spoke about, right? If you look at the first 2 factors, okay, AI and geopolitics, it is definitely affecting the right side of the things, okay, whereas GCC and the India semiconductor story are on the right side of the things, okay, just to demystify and put certain things into perspective, right? And if you see in the left hand side is where the job losses are happening, because for example, whatever a stitching can be done by a human being or a pressing that can be done by a human being, in terms of technology, if you see, right, somebody doing a manual testing, right? Or somebody is doing a manual documentation work, or somebody is writing a primitive source code, right? These type of activities today, if you see, right, it is replaced by the AI tools and AI framework. You know, whatever you call about prompt engineering, etc., right? So what has happened, it has made the existing engineers way productive. Okay, and then instead of doing a mass scale recruitment, instead of getting things done by 10 people, they can get done from the 2 people itself. That's the reason why, if you see, these organizations are doing a job loss. On the contrary, if you look at these right side organizations who are building a GCC in India, because we speak companies, you know, day in and day out, as he mentioned, Mr. Mas mentioned in his talk, right? Today, you know, just to give an example, today I have a conversation with 4 companies, right, from morning. You know, if you look at, right, before coming to this webinar, we spoke with 4 companies. Some of them are GCC, some of them are India-based companies, right? They're all telling that, you know what, Jay Kumar, today it's not about the quantity. Quantity is anyways there, right? We're talking about 1.5 million engineers. It's about quality. And as he rightly said, they have becoming demanding guys. Okay, gone are the days where we used to train people in the initial modules. I'll just talk about the embedded stack subsequently, right? We spoke about C, C++ programming and good amount of data structures. Our students were selling like hotcakes. Now, when you say this, you know, when we go and discuss them, we say, no, I want this also, this also, this also. The list is only increasing. It's mainly because, please note, the team that they're building, it is not to do any of those one of the activities. They need to do the entire shirt on their own. That shirt you can replace with an electric vehicle. You can make it up with a, you know, defense navigation equipment. You can make it with a router or a switch. You can make it with a humanoid robot, or you can make it up with a medical equipment. Today we're talking to a company where they build medical equipments. The entire device they're making. Right? So this requires altogether a different thought process. So that's what he was trying to, you know, mention. I just thought this analogy and what is you are seeing on a media or what you are seeing in a public news on a day-to-day manner, right? This is the differentiation that you need to bring in. So the question is, do you want to be on the left side of the story or you want to be on the right side of the story, right? Earlier, what was happening, because of the way how the mass scale recruitment was happening, you just took a default path. Now, kindly note that default path will not take you further. Now you need to take a very specific path, which is on the right side of the story, so that you can be part of the growth journey rather than on the base of the job loss journey. And definitely all of us want to be on the right side of the story, right? So that is the outset what, you know, when you try to demystify whatever, you know, we mentioned, right? This is how we can break and understand and make sense of what is happening around you as on a daily basis, right? So that's kind of, you know, summarizes the aspect, right? And it's very important that whatever we speak, right, we need to basically back it up with data. It's not like, you know, Mr. Mas wants to talk something, what he thinks or what I wanted to talk, you know, we just come and give a generic, yeah, go. That's not the idea, right? Whatever we shared so far, we have derived from based on our interactions with talking to companies on a daily basis and attending many of the conferences and talking to the subject matter experts, the decision makers, policy makers, skill building bodies, right? We have summarized whatever the initial 3-4 slides based on that. But definitely we also need to back it up with numbers, right? Let us talk about this, right? So one of the slides we talk about the global capacity or global capability center in GCC, right? Which is gaining a huge momentum. You can see the number of GCCs that are increasing, how many talent that they're taking. Kindly note, right? Okay, this is roughly about 1.5 million, you know, talent they're talking about as of, you know, 24 financially, right? March of 25, whatever, right? So 1.5 million translates to roughly around, you know 19 lakhs jobs put together. Sorry? Okay, somebody's telling slide is not visible. Let me just check. Okay, I think there's a network issue. Okay, let me just check. Yeah, guys, is it visible now? I think it looks okay. Is my screen visible to all of you? Can you please just confirm once? Looks like there was a looks like there was some network issue. Yeah, thanks for anyways. Yeah, let me know. Yeah. So this is the numbers. Let me just flash it once again. These are some of the numbers. It is, you know, this is a image, you know, shared by NASSCOM. All of you know, right? National Association for Software Service Companies, and Zeno is one of the more popular market research organization based out of India who does a high-end research and consulting kind of a market research and consulting work, right? So they jointly publish this infographic. This is available in public, right? So again, the point is, right, they're still looking for a lot of people to join them, but not based on the quantity, but on quality. And the growth that is expected today's world, right, where you are expecting around, if you see, right, the CAGR or compounded annual growth rate of growing at 9.8%, this is amazing. So there's definitely a huge opportunity in front of all of you people, right, to build a career as a part of this GCC, right? This is one angle where we talk about the right side of the story, right? The another piece is on the right side of the story is the India Semicon story. Right? Indian Semicon story is gaining a lot of momentum, which is growing at a 19% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, right? If the CAGR, you can just put it in a very simplistic equation, the rate of growth, right? Okay. For example, somebody, let's say I put money into a fixed deposit, right? Today it grows at, let's say, 5%, 6%, right? So if you look at the previous slide, right, the GCC are growing at around 10%, which itself is a healthy number. Right? Similarly, if you look at the electronics company, right, they're growing at 19%. Right? So the growth that we're expecting is quite high. Okay. So similarly, if you see the Indian companies where they're all operating, right, this is a dashboard or the data published by IESA, Indian Electronics and Semiconductor Association. This is the broad market data they shared for the past 5 years, right? If you look at them, right, in every vertical that we can think of, whatever you are getting up in the morning and before you sleep, right, name it, the mobile devices, the wearable devices, consumer electronics, automotive, right? That's been my favorite topic to understand, right? And then we also talk about aerospace and defense. That's a huge investment that is happening. Okay. In fact, if you look at if you're a share market investor, if you look at the last 6 months, the type of growth that these defense companies and aerospace companies are giving, is just absolutely mind-blowing. Okay. Similarly, today automotive companies, be it any domestic company you can think of, or any other any other new devices or cars or two-wheelers that they're building, right, it's going through a huge change, right? So these two are some of the perspectives, right? You can just keep it on the right side of the story, the GCC and the Indian semiconductor growth, right, which is expected to, you can see, right, some of the areas are growing quite well. For example, if you take a defense itself, right, which has grown around 4%, right? If you take automotive, that's grown around 5%. If you look at the consumer electronics, which is actually what we use on a daily basis, from 11%, is grown around 26%, right? Sorry,
Screen is
not visible. Okay, again,
positive.
sorry,
It is positive.
Okay, I don't know. Let me unshare and share once again. Maybe some network issue here. Okay, so let me share once again. I don't know why that some network issue could be. Yeah, is it visible now? Can you just type once again? Maybe I'll make it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, guys. There's some network jittery, and it's all right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So this is the what we have wanted to share from the beginning. If you look at putting it back in summary, right, there are 4 factors that are influencing the job market today. 2 of them are kind of taking the thing in a little negative sense because of the outsourcing and because of the AI and things like that. But 2 of them, the GCC and the India Semicon story, it is influencing on the right side. Okay. So my request is, right, whether you want to be in the left side of the story or right side of the story. Right? And pretty much, I'm sure all of us want to be on the right side of the story. And then we showed a couple of numbers, a couple of metrics to reiterate this. Okay. So this is what is happening in the market, and all the information that we shared so far, whether the trends that or the insight that shared by Mr. Mas, which I just kind of extended, or the data, whatever we shared, it is pretty much available in public. Okay. Okay. So this is one of the important perspective all of you should be, right? Now, second point is what it means to you. Okay, sir, many things are there in this world, right? How it means, what it makes, how do we make sense of these things? Okay, so let us spend some time on the one side, then we'll take some questions, right? Okay, what it means from you, I think Mr. Mas already said earlier that tier 2, tier 3 colleges saw bulk hiring from large IT services companies, okay, from TCS, right? Those roles focus on outsourced repetitive tasks, okay, which is now automated or shrinking due to AI and geopolitical disruptions. The campus placement model is evolving. The volume-based hiring is giving way to skill-based hiring, which is what he already called about. It's not about the numbers, but the specific skill is what they're looking for. Right? GCCs and domestic product companies are now taking the center stage. They expect graduates to own complex modules and contribute to the end-to-end product development. Not only one area. In the example of a shirt, right? They wanted to build that complete product out of India. So India-based teams are delivering complete products, not just service components. Right? Adapting to this change is non-negotiable for you guys. See, one thing is that what we can just resist. Oh no, it's not happening. Right? Okay. No, somebody is telling some statement, right? Or it is not for me. Right? It's natural that we tend to avoid or we tend to resist whenever there's a change. There's a human being, right? Yesterday I was reading a news item. It said human brain is trained for survival, right? Not for growth, because we've been living through the growth, right? So immediate natural thing is whenever there's a scenario change comes, right? Immediate thing is that there's a resistance, there is a denial, like no, mere saath nahi ho sakta, right? It cannot happen to me. Right? But kindly note, this already in the center stage. Adapting to this is very much required for you guys. So that's a message that he has already sent. Putting in a little bit of the lighter note, right? Okay. Anyhow, I did some branch of engineering. Doesn't matter, electronics, electrical, computer science, right? I will do a 2 to 3 months of course, bro. Okay, or macha, right? Any company will hire me. Yeah, good idea, bro. Okay, so that was a scenario. Do some manual testing course, do some XYZ course. That was good enough. That after the engineering college, companies were hiring, right? Now the scenario has changed, right? Campus placement have almost dried up, bro. Okay. Expectations are really high, and my academic knowledge will not help me. Okay. Need to start early and build skills, bro. Right? I need to talk the bro language. So I thought, the topic is getting a little bit too serious. So I thought I will put these, character figures. By the way, this is also generated by AI. You all know that, right? Just to give a lighter note, I thought, to compare, what Mr. Mas was also initially telling. This was the erstwhile scenario, and this is the current scenario. So we have to change, and we have to adapt to this particular change. Okay. Now, let us jump on to the second part of the other, how do we do this, the steps part of it, right? So before that, let us take some questions. Let me just, minimize my screen. I think good number of questions have come. Okay. All right, let us take some questions here. Okay. Right. So Prathamesh is asking, what will be the better at present, embedded systems or VLSI? Right? Again, this is again a big confusion which we hear from the students in most of the webinars that we run. Okay, it is basically nothing but both are sides of the same coin, I would say. VLSI focus on the hardware part of it. Embedded focuses on the software part of it. Anyways, in my next slide, I have a very simple way to demystify that. Prathamesh, just wait for a few minutes. In fact, that's what we're going to go talk in the rest of the webinar, right? Okay. Srinivas is asking when classes will start. I guess Srinivas, we're not talking about the batches here. Okay, I would suggest you, check our website or get in touch with the counselors. They'll be able to share, more details about the, about the specific dates, right? How will you approach towards placements, right? Srinivas is asking. Yes, that's, please wait. That's what we're going to talk about this, right? Yeah. Imran is telling, sir, I have one question that now that we are October, are we not, we are already in October, are we not too late? Right? See, the point that we are trying to bring in here is better late than, never. Right? Okay. So now, for example, you are all 2026 graduates, you have, let us say, another 6 to 8 months left, okay, of time, right? I would say this is high time you guys start. Okay. Yes, it's, if you ask me in a simple way, are you already late? Yes, the answer is yes. But still, can you make it up? Yes, you can. Okay, that's the idea that we are trying to bring in here, right? Okay, Imran. Yeah, thanks for asking, right? The courses you provide will be 60% theory, 40% practical. No, it's reverse. Okay, I don't know. Unknown is written, right? Basically, it is a 70-30 ratio. 70% is hands-on, coding and programming and stuff like that. So that's a 70%. 30% is a theory part. In fact, that ratio we've been maintaining across all the programs over the years. If you remember in the beginning, we spoke about the upskilling programs, corporate training programs, etc. Everywhere we go, we maintain the same ratio. Okay. And then there's a question from Prachi Shinde: which skill do you need to get into embedded? Hold on, Prachi. That's the next part we are going to talk about, right, in detail. Yes, she's telling I have less than 60% 12 standard. Will be able to grow in the embedded field? Yeah, definitely, okay. Because it is not only about what your paper says. Okay. As we already told, right? We don't want any papers. We don't want any somebody. In fact, we also give certification. Certification, we say, right? That's just a just a proof. That's it, right? That will not yield you anywhere. It's not that somebody one of our senior team members keeps selling this analogy, right? Just because you have a certificate doesn't mean it's a gate pass for you to enter to the company. No way. Okay. Today we are talking about real-time skills. Okay. So in that case, if you're having a odd 12th class score, that should be absolutely fine. Yes. Okay. Okay, I think PPT issues. I'm just seeing something. Okay. So what are the prerequisite? We'll talk about it in the subsequent thing, right? So can you share path for embedded? How much skills is required? Saying Tarun here. Yeah, Tarun. That's what we are going to talk. Okay. So before that, I would like to quickly check, whatever is being shared so far. It's an hour that we are into webinar now. We are jumping into the second portion of the webinar. This is the second portion is going to talk about further more details, right? But before that, I just would like to get your, opinion on, are you able to connect whatever we have spoken so far? Whatever Mr. Mas has mentioned, I just elongated and put it in the slide format, the 4 factors, how it is influencing, right? This is very important because I tell students, right, before you start your destination, right? Okay, before you wanted to go anywhere, you need to know where you want to go, okay, and what environment you are in, that awareness part, right? So are you able to connect with whatever we shared so far, guys and girls? Can you please respond? Whatever we spoken, Mr. Mas has shared. I just like to get some answers here. Can you please respond? Let me also type a question here, or type it from my side. Are you able to relate it? Support to relate or connect. Are you able to relate? Can you please respond, guys and girls? Quick yes, or even some thumbs up or yes, whatever. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up coming here. Yeah, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Pooja, Pavan, Prachi, Gunjan, Jaisurya, Shivam, Motion Ali, Pavan, Supriya, Tejasvi, Shambhuji, Yash, Srinivas. Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah. Pavan Kumar, Aryashree, Tejas, Tarun again, right? Great. Fantastic. Okay. Jay Surya is typing here. Sneha, Priyanshu, Pavan Gaud, Kalyan. Great. Fantastic. This is important, no? Because Abhishek, because it's not be, see, I'll tell you openly, right? We don't want this to be a Gyan giving session. So you think with the boomer uncles, on a Friday evening coming and giving us Gyan, right? Okay. That's definitely not the idea, right? As Mas has already mentioned, right? It is a real perspective. It's not something, we are just getting some sensationalizing some news, right? This is a real perspective what we are seeing on the ground. Okay. All right. Okay. Shall we proceed to the next section? Now we spoke about why and what of it. Now we are going to move how. And some of you are already asking, right? No, sir, we understood, sir. Okay. Tell me what should I do? Okay. All right. So thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Keep coming. Keep coming. Anyways, some other questions, VLSI embedded, etc. We'll clarify in a few minutes from now. Let me share my screen. Please keep typing in case there is any issue with the sharing. My team is also here with me. They will alert me in case of any issues. Okay. Let me just write. Okay. Your pathway to your career in core. Right? Again, this word core is very subjective. In fact, every interaction that I have with any student in Emertxe, right? I ask them, can you define core? What exactly you mean by core, right? So before, as I said, right, if you don't know the answer, that's okay. We can find out the answer, right? But if you don't know the question paper, that's a big problem. Right? For example, if you want to attempt for a physics exam, but if you go and sit in a chemistry class, chemistry exam, right, then you are off, right? If you want to play a T20 cricket, but end up playing a test match, right, it's totally different, right? So important thing to understand what problem you are solving before you get into why or how part of it. Anyways, why we already saw, why and what of it, right? What problem we are solving here, right? So again, the word core is very subjective because it will vary. For a mechanical engineer, he will say core is something else. For a civil engineer, he may say core is something else. I don't know whether you guys saw, yesterday or day before yesterday, the Navi Mumbai airport got inaugurated. It's been a dream for, I guess, Mumbaikars. I don't know, folks from Maharashtra are here. Anybody's here, you can just respond. I guess it's been a dream for Mumbaikars for a long, long time. They were just taking me through the, I was just watching a 2 minutes video yesterday night, right? Absolutely mind-blowing civil engineering. They just said, the kind of soil work they done, what they done with the nearby river, then to take care of the vibration, because, so many aeroplanes will land and go and stuff like that, the roads, etc., etc. Forget about the electronics and, other things that they brought in. For example, they mentioned about automated queue management. Right? Forget about that, right? I just amazed the kind of work, done by the civil engineers today. Similarly, there is a bridge, the highest, the railway bridge, which got inaugurated a few months back, I guess, right? So these things are nothing but, if you go and ask a civil engineer today, he say, you know what, I want to do that. Right? So the core is very much subjective to which perspective you are taking. So the perspective that we are going to build today, when you say core, let us keep it very simple. The core with respect to majority from the circuit branch point of view. When you say circuit branch point of view, let us say anybody from an electronics background. When you say electronics, electrical and electronics, right? Electrical and electronics and communication, electronics and instrumentation, right? Telecommunication, biomedical, mechatronics. This is one of the larger, right? Other part of the core people, you can also consider the computer science folks, because there's a kind of myth that, embedded means only for electronics guys, it's not for computer. In fact, recently we have a success story where there's a student from computer science who cracked a core company. Again, it's a core, right? So this is what we are talking about here: an electronics and variant, or a computer science and variant. Could be IS or IT, right? Anyways, computer science has become a branch where they're breaking into some 5 branches, right? Or in Bangalore words, people say, right, 99 varieties of dosa. Okay, you have same what you call base, and then you put 10 different type of ingredients, you make 99 varieties of dosa, right? Similarly, computer science become like that, right? The original computer science become AI and ML, IT, IS, what you call blockchain, but the masala is same, or the battery is the same, right? So wherever you belong, right, we are going to define the core from your perspective. Okay, an electrical branch student or electronic student branch or the computer science student, right? How does it look like, right? So let us define this core. First point is, today, any smart device that you can think of, right? It could be your watch, your phone, right? Today morning to evening, we come across so many devices, right? It consists of major 2 pieces, hardware and software. Very simple to understand. Now, if you look at the software piece of it, you have a system software and an application software. For example, if I take a phone, right, a phone that is with me, or let us say this, we call this my, wireless headset, right? This consists of 2 types of software, which is nothing but a core software which runs very closely to the hardware. For example, a bootloader, for example, a microcontroller, if it is a small system like that, or if I take a case of a phone, right? Definitely there's a bootloader, definitely there's an operating system, because it's relatively a more complex device which requires a multi-application to be run in this phone, right? So this basically has got a software which works closely with the hardware, namely bootloaders, operating systems, middleware, right? The bare metal core which is holding these pieces together, right? This is one piece of it. Then you talk about the application software. Application software includes the UI, right? Whatever the apps that you install in a particular phone, or an app I install in my phone to control this particular, wireless headset and stuff like that, right? Okay, that is the 2 pieces. Okay. Now, when you say similarly, when you talk about the hardware also, there are 2 pieces. One is somebody who designs a chipset which gets into the body of it. Suppose you say this particular phone, it's got a set of processors or the chipset associated with it, right? Which actually does the processing part of it, right? And then the board. Right, I even put in a very simple analogy saying that if you take a chip or VLSI, is building the processing entity, which is nothing but the brain of the system. Then board is nothing but all the organs, right? Maybe your eyes, your nose, your hand, right? Similarly, I'm making a particular a phone, right? It is to have various interfaces. Maybe I need to have a charging interface, I need to have a sensors, right? I need to have a camera interface, I need to have an audio interface. All those things somebody is interfacing and putting in form of a board. So that board is nothing but what you call it the PCB, which is a printed circuit board, which is what typically you form in the green color. Right? So this understanding is very important. Okay. So then I think one of you asked about VLSI, and when you talk about embedded, please note, even though we use it in a very related manner, VLSI and embedded, kindly note they both are very different. VLSI starts in the beginning of the product development, where somebody is, let us say, want to make a new phone, or Apple wants to make a new, iPhone. It starts way before, because they need to start with the chipset, which does the actual processing entity, which is nothing but the VLSI design. Then comes board, then comes the core software, then comes the application software. So it's like, chip design, board design, system software, application software. So here when you say an embedded software, right, or when you say system software or a core software, we require to focus on that area, not on the remaining three. My request to all of you is that please, rule out. Definitely we are not talking about this. Okay, let me just try to put it here. So definitely we are not talking about this. Definitely we are not talking about this. Definitely we are not talking about this. We are going to talk about this. Because as I said, no, I need to fix my target, then only we can discuss. Otherwise, if you're all over the place, means we'll get a general gyan and then we will get away. Okay. Is it clear? Folks who asked me questions about VLSI design, let me just, pause here and check. Can you please respond? Are you getting? Okay, I'm seeing Yash coming from Maharashtra, Mumbai. Okay, I talked about Navi Mumbai. Thank you, Yash, for your response. I hope you, as a Mumbaikar, are happy with the Navi Mumbai airport. Okay, hopefully you can fly there soon, right? Okay. So before that, yeah, Pawan, you asked this question: VLSI versus embedded. Let me check. Yeah, I think you are the one. Okay. Hope that's clear. Clear, guys. Is it clear about the job which you're going to talk now? Can you get some more responses? At least some thumbs up, please. I know it's 8:13 in the Friday night. Yeah, Shivam Singh, thank you. Purnima, Yash, Johnson, Prasanna. Great. Okay. So let us move on. And yeah, there's a question from Imran. Do you share this PPT to us in the end of the session? Yes, we do. What we'll do is, like, our team will, send the entire package. We will put this video into YouTube, and then we'll also send the deck, whichever we are using. We'll email you guys. No worries. Okay. We can do that. Okay. No, you can, you don't need to take any notes. Okay, you can just relax and understand what we are discussing here. Thanks, Imran. Thanks for asking the question. Okay, so let me go back and continue this. Right. So what it means is, when we are building this particular core, right, this particular system software, which we call embedded software, right. So now the question is, now that we design this particular target, right, then the next come is what jobs I need to do. What are the job role? Who will offer me such roles, right? So who will offer me that companies, right? Definitely semiconductor companies which are building the chipset, name it Qualcomm, Microchip, Infineon, etc. These companies are the one who are making, of course, ARM, right? Okay, I just put some companies which are recruiting our students, right? So that you will be able to relate, right? So these companies manufacture the chipset, design and manufacture the chipset, right? Along with that, they'll also build a reference platform. So for that, you need a very primitive bootloader or a BIOS or a base, bare metal while one program running, or a basic Linux or an Android or RTOS ported onto it, right? So that is one set of companies who will offer. Sometimes people get confused. In Qualcomm or Microchip, you go, you'll also have VLSI engineers, you'll also have embedded engineers. Probably they collaborate and work together, right? Okay, so definitely those companies are targeted. But yeah, these companies, if you look at, right, the semiconductor companies by design, they're less in number. Even if you take the companies who are manufacturing the chipset across the world, right, the numbers will be in few tens. But on the contrary, if you move to device companies, which Mr. Mas called it as a product companies, who use these chipsets and then they build various products, right? Name, and consumer electronic device like a phone, a wearable, building the next generation drone or an EV, it could be a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, right? Company like, LG, Boat, Ether, right? These companies are building. Or even when you talk about the defense equipments, right? We talk about majority of the public companies, right? Name it Bharat Electronics, right? Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited or BHEL, right? We talk about BEML, Bharat Atmos Limited, right? ISROs and DRDOs, right? And not only that, these public sector organizations and government R&D organizations, they also may not have, or not may not have, they don't have the entire capacity to build the entire device on their own. So what they do, they also work and partner with smaller organizations. For example, there's a company called Paras Aerospace. There's a company called Adya Aerospace. Right? These companies, by the way, they hire our students, right? So so that way the defense ecosystem is also a huge supply chain. Okay, with the focus of we creating our own indigenously designed products, right? That is also fueling a lot. In fact, I would these two sectors have become my personal favorite. Okay, the EVs and the defense. Okay, and of course you guys may prefer the first two. Okay, maybe a phone or or a wearable gadget, right? This is what, again, we can extrapolate to a telecommunication company, and you can also see recently the BSNL has gone through a network upgrade or a thing which is deployed with the Tejas networks, which is again an India-based company. The opportunities are plenty. Right? I just showed some examples so that you will be able to relate what is the piece you are focusing, okay, and who are the target companies you can potentially target with. Okay, so these are all the target companies and jobs. Okay, let us move on. Now, again, definitely a lot of you spoke about the embedded skill sets, right? So when you say embedded skill set, in Emertxe, we have been, advocate of this particular model called T model. So what is the T model? You know something about everything. That is the horizontal part of it, but specialize in one area. Okay. Specifically, as I speak, right, we discuss a lot. We discuss a product, we discuss software and hardware. In the hardware, we saw VLSI and board design. In the software, we saw system software and the embedded software. Even in embedded software, what is the breadth that you require? What is the depth you require? Okay, and as you might have heard Mr. Mas already telling, today is the world of inch wide, mile deep. That means, say what, you focus on one area, a small, and then go deep into it. That's what this T model is all about. Let us understand what is this T model, right? One is in the horizontal, you should know something about everything, a bit of programming, bit of hardware, OS, right, peripherals, interfacing, applications, porting, right? You need to have a perspective. Okay, fine. When you say that I'm going to build this particular phone, or when you're going to make this particular wireless headset, what are all the components that are involved? Right? That is a broad perspective, which you need to know something. You don't need to be an expert. But when you say I'm going to build a created software that is required for it, that is where you say you get hands-on. Okay, that's where you get into software design and programming part of it. Kindly know there is a lot of myth going around saying that, what, I will only design. I don't need to code. I don't need to program, right? Today, the entire world is driven by software, guys. Okay, today you cannot, or just look around. Which device is not enabled with software, right? From your home appliances. Okay, so I was just watching an advertisement casually, right? Today, the washing machine companies have started advising, what, washing machine is AI enabled, right? Everything is software enabled today. So definitely there is no running away from coding. You have to learn coding, even whether, you get into any role, that's a different matter, right? Definitely we are talking about a software which is a key enabler for anybody's success today, any of the devices today. The success largely comes because of the software component that gets into any of these devices, right? So what are the skill sets? The skill set, according to us, this is what we call it as a stack in Emertxe. Okay? It involves understanding Linux, because people know Linux is the numero uno operating system when it comes to embedded systems that rules the embedded world because of its open source, it is free, and it is secure. Many reasons that can be a separate technical topic altogether. And when we spoke about Mr. Mas, right, we also talk about the programming language, right? Again, there's a story saying that, so should I learn Python, should I learn JavaScript or any other thing? So if you want to be a good embedded engineer, I would say learn C programming very well and in depth. In fact, if you look at our course, right, the biggest and the most difficult piece, okay, is the C programming, and you need to know nuts and bolts of it, because that is what, even if you look at statistically today, right, more than 90% of the embedded systems are programmed using C language. Okay. And of course, C++ is also taking a foray into that. We also heard some of our hiring companies that they also even the hardware is getting much more powerful. So C++ is also taking a center stage. So we definitely recommend C and C++. If you want to learn Python or JavaScript, we don't say no to it. But my point is start with C, then go to the Python, not reverse. Because Python, when you learn and want to come and learn C, right? Python, you are used to putting a dot and a library will pop up, right? It becomes easy for you. Okay? Here, kya hai? Do everything from the scratch. That is what is going to exercise your problem solving skills. Okay? Then when it comes to the programming, the data structures and algorithms, which is where you're going to really apply the C programming and see how to solve a problem. Okay, how to solve a problem. The problem solving you're going to exercise in data structures. Then this is as I said, this particular is, I would like to say, a one bucket of skills where you got to know something about an OS and you really got very good with programming language. If you remember, Mr. Masi was telling, right, few years back, specifically if you look at 2017 and 18, and vividly remember, right, companies are okay when the students are demonstrating the skill sets. There are many applications we float saying that C programming apply, students with data structures apply, C++ apply, and all my good students used to get observed just with the power of C programming. But yeah, this is important, but this is still remains relevant, but we need to think beyond it. That is where the microcontroller programming and the Linux internals come into picture, right? So think about like this, right? Microcontroller is required whenever a system which is relatively having a simpler functionality. Like for example, when you talk about this, wireless headset, right? This is having a very relatively simple functionality, and I can't afford to put a powerful processor. It's not required also, so I can run it with a controller. Whereas when you go for a phone, which is supposed to do n number of things, right? I don't need to one processor. I need multiple processors. Today we are talking about co-processors. Something processes the video, something processes an audio. For example, a DSP sitting in it, right? There's a graphics processing sitting into it, and on top of it, you are applying in ARML. You also need a what you call it as a GPUs, right? The GPUs is what we are talking about, right? So whenever you are building a simple controller based thing, you need to know a non-OS based system where microcontroller skills are required. Then when you're building an OS based system, right, we recommend that you start picking up that, taking the direction of Linux, right? And when you learn Linux, you learn at application level and also at a hardware level, where how are you going to bring up a Linux in an ARM based hardware, any target hardware. And then finally Qt programming. Qt is another very popular framework which is used in a automotive, like in automotive industry or vertical. They're building the dashboards, they're building any of the UI, you see, right? It's a lightweight framework, right? So this, I would say, a list of 8 items is what companies are looking at to become successful in the organization, whether it could be a GCC or a domestic company, right? They do require you to have at least these 8, if not 8 out of 8, at least 6 out of 8 though definitely they require. Not about 4 out of 8 or 3 out of 8, which we are playing the game probably 6-7 years back, right? That game has completely changed, right? And it is not that tomorrow I'm going to build a resume, for example, right? I can write anything I want. I can even write I know Java, I know C, let us say JavaScript, etc. I even know these days this has become a fad that anything and everything we want to put an AI in it, right? I know AML, etc., etc. Right? That is not the idea. You can put anything that you want. The next thing, important thing, equally important, which majority of students forget, right? Kindly note, your resume is not a fancy thing that you wanted to build. It should have a lot of meaning, right? And it should convey a lot of message today, right? So now it is not only that you are coming and telling, I know these things, right? Then the next question companies will ask is, what are the proof that you know? And like that, I can write now, I know Japanese language, right? I know Chinese language, right? Anything that I can write. But how do you evaluate me? Can you write an essay on Chinese? Or can you speak for Chinese in 10 minutes? Okay. Or can you read this Japanese essay and explain me, right? That's how you are going to validate me. Suppose I come and, assuming you are running a language institute, right? I come and apply for a job. I write, I know Chinese, Japanese, 5 different languages, right? So definitely it is not about mentioning this in your resume, right? You need to demonstrate what is the proof. That is where, Master already called out, right? You need to build your portfolio. It's no longer resume. Resume is a piece in this entire thing. Portfolio is way beyond that. Right? What do you mean by a portfolio? Okay. Your portfolio should have a fundamental knowledge of electronics, whatever you're studying. Okay, whether you are a CS background, EC background, I'm sure all of you would have studied some good amount of electronics in your course. In fact, I come from CS background. My colleague and CTO Mubin comes from computer science background, right? We all would have studied electronics in the college, right? At least you are electronics 1, 2, digital electronics 1, 2. At least you would have had some 4 or 5 papers, right? Companies expect you to know that well, because that's where the base is built, right? The second part is hands-on coding expertise. When it comes to coding, again, there's a misnomer that it's not about how many programming languages that you know, right? It's not about I know C, C++, Java, Python, etc., right? Okay, it is not about your coding. You are going to use that particular code and solve problems. That is where one of the way to basically build your portfolio is getting into competitive coding platforms, right? Today, when I wanted to check how good you are, right, I will check you using C programming. What is your lead code says? What is your hacker rank says? It's not about creating an account. Many people do that, right? So do you have a lead code account? Yes, sir, I have. What is the lead code account? Right? Nothing. I created login and kept it, right? It's not an idea. It's like, for example, I tell this analogy in multiple of my webinars, right? Just by buying a treadmill, you are not going to lose your weight. You need to run on it. Same way, just by creating a lead code account, it's not going to help you. And there also, companies are becoming very particular. They're saying that they're asking how many difficult problems you solve, right? So again, when you share the lead code link, right, they wanted to look into it. Other important thing is application of embedded domain skills, how well you can apply. That is also they are going to evaluate around minimum 10 projects in your resume. When I say 10 projects in your resume, they would expect you to demonstrate the experience of, right, at least you written 2000 lines of source code. I written it's a 20K, sorry about it, it's like a 2K, basically 2000 lines of 1000 lines, yeah, 2000 lines, and yeah, that's correct. Actually 20,000 lines of code, sorry, 20,000 lines of source code you have to demonstrate. Okay, in fact, I had a conversation with a student, right? He came and told me this afternoon that he written 12 projects again as part of our course, right? I asked him how many lines would have written. He said somewhere around 10 to 12. Then I said, you remove the ones which were deleted, added, he said some more or less around 15,000 I would have written, right? That is when, if you remember the initial point that Mr. Mas was mentioning, where it is not on paper or not on experience certificate, you will become capable, where you will be able to contribute at the level of 1.5 years or 2 years experience levels. In fact, many of our high performing students, when they go, we have a written testimonial from the top companies. And I say top companies, companies like, NXP Semiconductors, companies like Altron, which I think it's become a Capgemini, right? Where they were able to demonstrate, saying that, wow, your students are able to replace, are able to contribute at a 1.5 to 2 years of experience guy right from day one. Okay. And that will not happen magic, right? That will not happen in the 2 to 3 course, right? Which we discussed. The two friends are saying, bro, you know what? 2 to 3 months course, it will just, won't cut it. Okay. You need to spend time. Okay. And ability to debug. It's not only you write a code and you need to basically debug it, test it well. Those tools you need to understand. Okay. And all of them, like how your problem statements are there in the lead code. And similarly, all your source code, etc., should be available in the GitHub. Okay. Finally, okay, storytelling through LinkedIn. This, we are not been advocating for a while, and recently we've taken up very seriously with our students, is that it is not about you doing things, it is also about what you are telling in the social media. Okay. When it's social media, I'm not referring about Instagram, don't confuse me, right? I'm talking about a professional social or whatever networking platform like LinkedIn. Again, it's not about creating a login in LinkedIn and keeping it, aspiring embedded engineer. Theek hai bhaiya, kiya kya? What did you do? Right? Are you sharing there regularly, whatever you are doing, right? Whatever the badges, whatever the credential that you are gaining, right? Or are you, building a small blog and writing about whatever the project you have done, right? And in any new tool which you explored, right? Have you created a small video on, how to, and then showing it, right? Kindly note, this is also playing a very important role. It's not about traditional resume. Or rather, one of my other friend was telling, right? When you Google about your name, what comes up? Suppose whatever name, your full name, right? The first name and second name, when you middle name and full name, when you Google about you, what will come up? Okay. So if the link of your, lead code comes up, your GitHub comes up, LinkedIn comes up, that's great. That is more than more validation than you going and writing a great resume. In fact, we also recommend our students and recommend you guys also to write resume. We also do conduct workshops and things like that. But what I'm telling is the day or the era of resume is also steadily fading away. It's not about what is these platforms are talking about you, right? And last one, the storytelling part has become very important. Okay. Or rather, my team is telling the statement, right? Jo dikta nahi, wo bikta nahi hai. Put in simple way, right? Nothing is, you're not able to see that won't sell. You have to showcase. In fact, I would even say a very simple example, right? Some of our students, without even telling, they started putting things in LinkedIn, and the recruiters beyond our placement network, right? They just saw them and then they hired them. They say, okay, fine, you are able to do so many things, then that means you really have done some stuff. With a simple one round of interview, they hired them. Right? So LinkedIn, GitHub, and LeetCode or HackerRank has become the bottom line for all of you guys. Or rather, if you want to question yourself, right, you Google many things, right? Or even you go and ask ChatGPT, okay? Who are you, right? Type your, what do you know about some name, right? See what it is telling about you. Okay. So this is what we mean by portfolio. So you need to build that to target a GCC or a domestic product company which are building end to end. Right? We are talking about niche companies target these things. Okay. Hope you're getting it, guys. Okay. Maybe almost there. Maybe we can take more questions there. Okay. Then, as I said, right, as we're talking about the how part of it, this is a skill set we are talking about. Then there is also a positive shift in the academia. So academia, the engineering college, they also understood. By ये तो होगा नहीं. Okay. By in terms of that, 2 weeks of program, 3 weeks of placement training, they're trying the level best. Okay. In fact, even if all of you know the AICT, right, the All India Council for Technical Education, right, right from them, who is the policy bearer, right, they're also coming to tell, what, we actually want to put what the industry wants, not what we have been teaching over the years, right? Okay, so that means say what they also trying to implement the national the education policy, multiple entry multiple exit. I don't see it's like what the education system in the US, right? You can enter the course multiple times, you can exit the course multiple times, go and do something else, and then come back and submit the credential. That way you earn the grade point, and then you can move on. Because earlier we used to have some students coming from South Korea. They were following this model. Okay, they used to come from South Korea, do a program with us. Some will do internship, or some won't do internship with us. Some will do the full-time, full-blown course, right? And we will grade from Emertxe, and then that will get integrated into the academy, right? So that I don't see is fully implemented yet. But what we are seeing is that okay, they're all telling okay, do internship. I think that much I'm sure, right? If not at a NEP or a multiple entry, multiple exit, we are pretty much seeing. Okay, all my team of counselors also keep telling me that, sir, this internship has caught up. That's one of the reasons why we actually floated a 2-month exposure program for all the engineering students. I think some of you might have been part of it, I don't know, right? But on the contrary, what I also wanted to caution you that it is fragmented. When I say fragmented, today you really do not know who is going to give an internship, or will that internship will convert into a job. Because we coming and hearing many stories. My team keep giving me a lot of insights what we are hearing from the students. They're coming and telling, sir, you know what? Now we just spoke to one student. He's telling he joined a 3-month internship program, okay, with so and so money, right? That particular company is guaranteeing them they will give a job. Arey Baba, which world we are living in, right? Okay. So my request is, do not take that 2-month or 3-month approach. That's a story we've been telling from the beginning. Okay. Just don't go and join an internship program just because it's a 2 months, 3 months, and you can afford that particular money, or it looks cheap, okay, or look let's say affordable for you. That is actually is what creating the fragmentation. Today, everybody is submitting the certificate, right? So please don't get into that, because that's only going to harm. That is only going to further delay your, you achieving the goal, right? Okay. So freedom to do longer term internship pretty much during the final year. If not in the third year, or what it call a third semester, what we saw, one important phenomena in the 2025 year is that from the January month onwards, right, we started having students, right, saying that, sir, my college has told me that you can do whatever you want in the final year, and you need to do ABCD things. That's it. Right? At least that phenomenon has taken a center place. You can comment me, you can share how your college or university works, right? Because I saw also saw a student is from Punjab, Malaut. I think we had your alumni here, right? They were one of the early pioneers who started that. I used to always wonder, right, how they were able to do it. Pretty much the entire final year they were with us, those students, right? Okay. So then integrating it with the academic, degree and things. But what is our recommendation? Start early as third semester and pace it out. Is it all right? It takes time to build this. It's not like you jump like this, right? You need to take time to, because your height is more, so you cannot suddenly jump like this and then cross the wall, right? So you need to gradually make a shift towards basically achieving your goal. So pace it out for a longer period. Okay. So remember, skill building is a marathon, not a sprint. Often we compare this, right? Don't often I'm a cricket buff, my team knows better about me, right? Okay, don't compare a T20 with a test. The game, that how you play in a test, it's not about how fast you score, it's about how resilient you are. 5 din khel sakte ho, yeah, can even play for 5 days, right? Or a T20 is not about that, it's just watching a movie, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, the entire match is over. And the skill set or the game plan is very different. Similarly, skill building is a marathon. It's all about endurance. Running that 43 kilometers of distance, right? Will you even stay alive? Will you be even walk by the end of 43 kilometers? That's a story. Not about 100 meters I ran and won. Okay. So kindly note, the game has changed from the sprint where you can 2 to 3 months you can do something and become or get something. It has become a marathon. So that's a whole premise in which we've been talking about. If you want me to summarize the start early, right, or build your career in core, please have this last sentence. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The marathon or the test match requires a very different perspective, playing that session by session. If you're a cricket buff, you can relate to me, right? Okay. And then how is the, if you're especially playing in England, right? Every hour the climate changes, sometimes it rains, sometimes it swings, right? And which direction the air is coming. You need to understand so many things, and then plan session by session, so that end of the third day or fourth day or fifth day, you end up a winner. Okay, so please keep this perspective. Okay. Now, our recommendation, how it's been structured. People also are talking about our course. or what we saw in the year 2025. Okay, just that's what we wanted to do that, right? So what we would like to recommend is whatever the stack that we've shown, whatever the course that we are offering as a full-blown course, right? We would like to divide into, basically 3 phases. First phase we call it as an internship, because your college demands that, oh, you know what, you need to go and do a internship in a so and so institution, which should be, a SME registered, a legal company, because as I said, right, the market becoming fragmented. Every time Dick and Harry started giving an internship certificate, right? So the university is also kind of, regulating this, and then say you need to do internship, so you can do that. For example, as a part of this particular phase one itself, you make yourself solid in the programming side of it, because you're not in the embedded side yet, right? Make yourself solid in the programming side, and then you build, let us say, 3 to 4 projects, right? And then show that certificate to the college. That is more than enough. This is what we've done in the year 2025. I mean, when I say 2025 January, you are seniors. This is what we have done. Okay. Then what happens? You can go for your academia. Okay, and we have been advocating that, you come here. Okay, you keep that as a naam ke vaste. Okay, so that somebody seals and give you a degree certificate, you are done. Okay, because when it comes to placements, all the recruiting companies which you spoke in the beginning, they expect you to complete your engineering. For that sake only we are telling go and do it this particular second phase, right? Okay, then whatever the academic criteria, okay, we try to keep this as minimal as possible, but students tend to take break and then go to the phase 2. Complete this particular academic activities, and there also we say don't stop. Whatever you learn in phase 1, right, you continue. Okay, continue, and basically solving more problems in the DS area, building projects, etc. Okay, do that. And then after your academia is done, once you are done with your final exams, or anyways 1 or 2 exams will be there, but more project formalities will be there, then you can achieve the domain skill which I spoke about, which is nothing but the embedded stack. Okay, so this is how we recommend. Again, the duration, when I should start, for example, sir, when I start in the 3rd semester, 4th semester, how long should be the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3? Those things we can discuss. Okay, probably, you can get in touch with a team of counselors. I'll share their contact details. You can get in touch with them. They will be able to, because that will be very specific. For example, somebody starting at that's what I know, one of the students asked me, sir, are we already late, right? A pre-final year or final year student, the story will be different from the second year. Okay, but this is a broad recommendation that we would say: build the programming skills, do a decent number of projects, finish your college, and also have a good problem solving skill done, and come back and build that domain skills. Okay. And not only that, okay, very important, it's not about you doing it, showcase your portfolio, then a long and rewarding career in core. Okay, when I say long and rewarding career in core, that also I would like to elaborate this point. Let us say you're starting your career in 21, 22. Okay, that's the age group where we complete our engineering, right? Okay, and today we are in a world where there is no concept of retirement. For example, you might have parents or grandparents, or in my case my father, right? At the age of 58, he just hung up his boots and say, I'm done, right? Then you get a pension from the government. If you work in a government, my father used to work in a state government, right? He gets that pension, right? And say, for example, in case somebody passes away, right, the pension also transfers to the family, right? What you call family pension, right? Nowadays, right, this looks like I'm explaining about a story or a history, right? Saying that what, first it started with the Greeks, then it become Romans, then it become etc, etc, right? Those things don't have any relevance today. We all need to build a long-term career, right? As long as touchwood, live long and learn. We are talking about lifelong learning, right? So when you say long and rewarding career, you should take a look at let us say you start at 21, 22. Let us say even at the age of 60, officially, even I know a lot of people who continue beyond 60. Touchwood, as I said, physically, as long as you can, you should be able to work. Okay, how do you build something for the next at least let us say 30, 40 years? Okay, for that, unless sound fundamentals are there, it's not going to grow. If at all it looks like it is growing fast, it will fall fast. Okay, it'll look like, oh, this guy has taken a shortcut and is progress further, right? But as much that shortcuts take you further, right, it will fall. We all talk about gambling, right? Okay, you go and put a gambling, one day you'll get double the money. Next second day you lose everything, right? Career is not a gamble. Career is not about making some guesswork, right? It's about what you're going to pursue for the next 30, 40 years and beyond. Touchwood, all of you live long and do well in your career, right? And not only that, you also have growth aspirations, right? You want to buy something, make your parents happy, right? Live a comfortable life, right? All those things will be able to do only when you lay the sound fundamentals. Okay, this is our recommendation. Okay, Okay, and this is a silver bullet we tell in every webinar. If you look at, right, we started with the job market trends, 4 trends we saw: AI, right, geopolitics. We spoke about the GCCs and the domestic R&D companies. From there, we mapped it to how the job landscape is changing. Then we slowly moved on to the core. What do you mean by core? Then we subsequently went into the embedded software that we broke into the stack skill set and then the outcome, right? And then how you can pace that as a final year student or a pre-final year student, right? This is a what you call as a roadmap or a blueprint, right? As he has already told Mr. Mas in the beginning, right? Okay, this is what we are here for, to share the information, to present it something which you will be able to relate, right? And okay, who is the ultimate decision maker for your career? It's you. Neither your parent nor your uncle, nor none, any of us from Emertxe or any so-called gurus for that matter, right? Nobody. It's you. So our sincere attempt is to share these things from a real perspectives, okay, and let you decide. In the decision making process, if you wanted to get in touch with us, you are more than welcome. These are our coordinates, right? People who are in Bangalore, right? You can meet our team of counselors. You can just take a screenshot of this, and we are active in LinkedIn and Insta. The QR code is there, and what they say, right? What is that? Like, share, subscribe, whatever, right? You can do that. And there's a number there you can note down, and then there's a email ID. You can get in touch with our team of counselors. Definitely, they will be able to share much more specific information. As I said, whatever decision you make, right? On behalf of Team Emertxe, I really wanted to wish you all the very best, and definitely, want to thank our team for setting up this webinar. They've done a lot of background work to make this happen. So thank you very much, Team Emertxe, for making it happen. Yeah, we'll keep you updated. Yeah. So with that, I would like to end our talk with saying welcome to the world of possibilities of this, amazing world of electronics and semiconductors and the products, which is making our life easier and much more innovative every day, like these products, right? So definitely, a lot of opportunities are opening up, but it is not for just like that, right? People who are serious, who build the depth, definitely lots of opportunities are opening up. Hopefully, this webinar would have helped you to, build some perspectives, and then so that going forward, right, you take the right decision. Okay. So let me see if any more questions are there. Give me a minute. Let me just minimize my screen. Let me stop my sharing. Looks like there are some questions. Yeah. How many days of dedication needed for a person who has good DSA knowledge and wants a career, as an embedded engineer? See, DSA is a good foundation, Shambhu Raje. Okay, it is a good foundation, but according to us, anywhere minimum 6 months of investment required. When I say 6 months, it's like a good amount of hours on a daily basis. Okay, what we do is like 4 to 5 hours of session here, and we also expect them you go and spend similar time at your home or something. That much amount of time is required. Duration wise, at least 6 months. Embedded hardware role training. Okay, Mahinder, that is not our domain, as I said clearly, right? Hardware is a different ball game. Yeah, it's more of a PCB design or a VLSI design. That is a different ball game, right? Yeah. So our focus is more on the software, which we discussed, right? Okay. Hope you got it, Mahinder. Okay. Any other questions, guys, girls? Okay, let me see. Yeah, VLSI design, I think already touched upon. That's a different ball game. Again, if we explain that, first of all, we are not experts in that, but even if you want to share some perspectives, that's not the scope of this webinar. Probably, you can search on your own, Vivek. Sir, how many months will be the course? Yeah, as I said, Tarun, it's a 6 months program. What we run, all the programs are 6 months. Yes. Any other questions, queries? When did the new batch start, Santosh? Santosh, as I said, please get in touch with our team of counselors. I shared the contact details. They'll be the right ones to guide you. Yeah, Asma is asking, sir, someone start in second semester. How this will help me with college subjects, or it will be completely new to learn? Okay, that's a good question. In fact, somebody has already asked me that what is the prerequisite required for that, right? As I said, if you've done a basic electronics course as a part of the first year or some extent in your second year, that is good enough for you to enter into this particular world. Okay, you don't need to Rather, students ask me, sir, should I learn something and come? Rather, I would put reverse, right? Come here and learn, right? So that's the idea. So definitely you can look forward after that, your second semester or in the second year, right? And you will be able to relate and learn, because all the subjects when we teach, it is starting with from the scratch, from ground zero. As long as you have the curiosity and you are willingness to learn, definitely you can learn. Okay, and interleave with your college activities, because this program also runs online. Along with, suppose you're not able to physically come, take time out, this program also available in the online mode, which you can take it up. Even it's available in online evening mode also. After 7 p.m. classes will be held, you can take that advantage. Yeah, thanks Asma for asking this question. Okay. Yeah, there are many questions. Let me just check. Will this course start from the scratch? Mahindra, yes, Mahindra, that's what I answered the previous question. Can you do offline in Bangalore? Ask me. Yes, definitely. Yes, you are most welcome. Offline also, we do run courses. Okay. We have about 750 seater capacity in MG Road. Two centers are there, the same place. You're most welcome. Yeah. How do you select students for this course, Shreya? So Shreya, we expect somebody to have a decent academia. Anyways, that is also not relevant, because you're not going to wait for the first class. That is whatever the semester you completed. If you maintain a first class or a 60% or a 6 CGPA or above, that should be good enough. Mohsin is asking, sir, can you please tell me how much I need to pay to get enrolled in this course? Again, this is a question for our team of counselors. Okay, you can get in touch with them; they will be able to explain that. Yeah. Yash is asking, and in 8th semester it's internship. I can rather do course in Bangalore. That's what Yash I was trying to explain. Right? There's always this dichotomy of course versus internship, right? Okay. This particular course we are structured. That was the experience I sharing towards the end, right? In the year beginning of 2025, when this request came from the students saying that, sir, my college is asking me to do this particular internship also. That is how we structure. Where a phase 1, you learn the programming language and build the projects. And then whatever the projects you're building, we will give you the certificate and necessary artifacts which you can submit to your college. So that way your internship, you are putting a tick mark. And that's where also I cautioned you not to go anywhere and everywhere and join. Later you repent, right? That you, anyways, it's part of it, because we understand that even for your college, you need to be meeting those requirements. Right? That's already taken care. My request is look beyond that. Okay? Look for the phase 2 and phase 3 so that you achieve the placements. Okay? Hope it's clear. Yes. Today recorded session. Yes, Johnson will send you this. Okay, don't worry. As I said, both the PPT and the recorded version we will share. Okay. Pawan is asking, what is the cost of this course? As Pawan, I said, please get in touch with your counselors. They'll be able to help you. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much, all of you. I think very interactive crowd. A lot of questions have been asked. Yeah. In LeetCode or HackerRank, what kind of problems are solved related to embedded system? Oh, an interesting question, right? See, Santosh, the problem statements in LeetCode or HackerRank, they may or may not be related to a domain specific. For example, even somebody want to become let us say, a machine learning engineer, right, or a full stack web developer, right? They also need to solve LeetCode problem, because problem solving is common across any domain that you take. Okay, remember, Mr. Mas also been mentioned from the beginning, right? It's not about I know C, I know C++, I know Java or MERN stack or any other ML algorithm or model, right? It's not about that. Are you solving a customer's problem? So the problem statement that is there in LeetCode and HackerRank, it is independent domain. The more you solve your problem, right, the more you will be able to basically become a more effective any engineer for that matter, right? Okay. Yeah, but you will find some questions on that, right? Okay, you'll find some. Okay, you solve the core computer science, the problems using those platforms. Company specific platform. Okay, company specific, right? Okay. Hope it's clear, Santosh. Shreya is asking, so which is better, hardware or software? Again, you're asking the question of VLSI design or embedded, right? I think that question will lead there, right? I would, not be able to comment, as somebody asked about the Computer Institute also. We can only talk about what we do. Okay, so VLSI, if I say something, right, that may not be fair, because we are not, exclusively focused on that. But I would say it's up to you, Shreya. Whatever you feel. If you're passionate about, no, sir, I'm really excited about the chipsets, right? I want to really know what's happening in that. I want to work in the world of Verilog or all those EDA tools, electronic design and automation tools, right? Then hardware may be your choice, right? Or you can say, no, sir, I would like to build some cool stuff, be it a latest gadget or latest what you call robotic solutions, then the software may be the right path for you. You need to basically ask some questions to yourself, or if you still have doubts, you can get in touch with the counselor. They'll be able to further counsel you. Share. Any other questions, chaps? I know it's almost nearing 8:52. It says clock. We planned, I guess, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah, another 8 minutes left. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, I think yes, she's saying thank you, sir. All right, I think it's time to move to the feedback. Okay. Yeah. So motion release as which programming language is best according to you? See, programming languages, kindly note, it depends on the context it is applied. Okay. For example, if you say an embedded system, I already iterated saying that C and C++ are the best programming languages, right? C largely, right? Whereas if you go for a web development in the backend, especially, you have options of Java, JavaScript, Python, or Ruby. I don't hear about Ruby these days a lot, right? The JavaScript or a MERN stack is what I am hearing, right? That is on the backend side. Similarly, when you go for a machine learning or AI world, right, it is more about Python. It's about which context you are looking or which area that you are looking in the programming language. It's like asking me which car is good, sir. Okay, right? Which is the car you are looking at? Are you looking at a passenger car? Are you looking at an off-road car? What is the size of your family, right? Is it EV is better than the? So it's all about your wish, right? So since your interest is in embedded domain, in that context, we'll largely recommend C and C++. Plus, we recommend you pick up one scripting languages that I would recommend Python. Okay. But as I said, don't start with Python. Start with C, C++, then make a shift to Python. That will be much more easier. Okay. Hope it's clear, Motion. Interesting question. Okay. All right. Okay. So would like to pause here and check your feedback. How did you find this webinar? Did you find it interesting, relatable? Okay. Did we keep you hooked, me and Mr. Mas? Did you find it relatable? Able to connect with what we said? Okay. Can you share some feedback? Your kind words. Yesh was telling thank you, sir, sometime back. I'd like to hear a few words, then we'll call it done. As I said, this content will reach you, don't worry. The video recorded version, we'll put it in YouTube and share the link, and the deck also, we'll probably send it as an attachment or share via link. Our team will take care, don't worry. Any questions, any feedback? Okay, Mahidra is telling again, one thumbs up is coming. Okay. Clear about the core side, clear thought about core side. Say Santosh, yes, hopefully that was our idea to give you the clarity. Hope you got it. Tarun, and we get a lot of thumbs up here. And then thank you, sir, for your advice. Yes, Mohsin, it was good, sir. Informative and gave perspective about the career, says Asma. Yeah.
Early stage idea.
Yeah, right. That's what Mas is asking. Is sitting here. So hope you got the idea of the early, right? Early start, the importance and the significance. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Shreya is telling thank you, sir. Okay. I saw some thumbs up. Maybe I missed some of them. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good weekend. Tomorrow is a Saturday. We are working. We have a lot of lined up. Team members is busy tomorrow also. But I'm an AA student. My friend is taking to take embedded systems course. Can you recommend? Select it or not? As I said, it's your wish. As I said, computer science, another branch, it has become AI, right? Very much. I still consider AI as very much a part of computer science. Yes, very much. Yes. This is that recently also we had a success story of a computer science grad. You can just check out our video. I think launched a day or two back. Who got a premium, I think some 13.5 lakh salary at Chelsea Communications, which builds a high performance networking equipment, right? The cards and the software. I see some computer science. Okay. Pawan. Okay. I don't see any reason why you don't want to get into, right? Okay. And then Bharat is telling thank you, sir. All right, chaps. Thank you very much. Take care. Hopefully we'll see more in the similar webinars in the future. Take care. Bye.